I'm a real world Challenger business jet captain and former airline pilot. Any procedures or techniques I discuss with you today are strictly for flight simulator use only and for our entertainment. Always consult a professional flight instructor for flying lessons. Well, welcome back to Foxtrot Alpha Aviation. Well, believe it or not, we're started up our engines. We've completed all the checks using the RM, and yes, it's quite different from what I'm used to. That's for sure. What we're going to do now is we'll call this Chapter 7, and this will be the taxi check. It'll be very quick, but I'll just do the ORM taxi checks, and we'll probably get up to the before takeoff checks, and we'll hold and go from there. So taxi check. First thing we're going to do is we're going to talk to our signalman. I'm going to put the brakes on. I just normally do this anyway, so I'm holding the brakes. Chocks out. And we are good to go. Okay, so we're going to release the parking brake. Parking brake is released. Normally I don't turn the taxi light on until I'm in a position where I'm not going to blind the marshaller. So we would get to clearance of Victoria Ground, Challenger, Foxtrot, Alpha, Alpha Victor is ready for taxi at the Shell information X-ray. Okay, so we're now cleared to taxi. We're cleared to taxi via Echo, cross runway 03, correction, cross runway 0321, cross runway 1432, and report holding short runway 09. Okay, we read that back, and we are ready to go. Okay, park brake released, and applying a small amount of thrust here. Normally there's just a little bit of brake, called breakout thrust is what we need to get going with, and especially if we're heavy. Just a little bit of what I'm doing here now. I'm just going to do some brake checks. This is, in real life, the brakes don't come on quite as hard as they're doing here. I can kind of feather them a little bit. So now I'm clear of the person, so I've turned on the recog taxi light. And what I like to do is clear completely out of the ramp area so I don't have anybody in, just neither one of us are distracted by looking. So clear left, clear right, entering the taxiway Echo here. And again, I'm in idle right now. I do not have any thrust on. Okay, airplane. I'm just going to read our taxi check here. So brakes check. So there's check left. Airplane is allowed to roll. Gently apply brakes. Check that no anti-skid or brake messages come on. I didn't see anything. This is brakes warm. Perform the following number of firm applications. 25 knots to 10 knots. This is something that we would typically use if we have kind of a wet brake type situation. There's a number of brake applications. So greater than 42,000 pounds, 5 brake applications, 36,000 to 42,000 pounds, 6. 5 was the first number, 6 is the second, and less than 36,000 pounds were 7. So I'll just read that again. I'll just stop the aircraft. Perform the following number of brake applications from 25 knots down to 10. Perform the prescribed number of brake applications during the last mile or kilometer of taxi to and not including the final stops or snub before takeoff. Do not drag brakes. Note, use of symmetric braking is recommended to ensure uniform brake heating. Warming of the brakes will preclude the chance of saturated brakes, freezing at altitude, and becoming locked for landing touchdown. Okay, so they don't call for it, but what we'd normally do is we would go brakes check left, I would hand over brakes to the other person. They would check their brakes, give them a little bit of check. Again, it is not as touchy as it is here. Then we would say flaps 20. So flaps 20 selected. We continue on further into our checks. It's kind of a flow. Thrust reverser check. Let's see if this works. Okay, 2 amber, 2 green. 2 amber, 2 stowed. That's how we do it. And I'm not going to worry about the fail light right at the moment. Okay, so that's how we check our thrust reversers. 2 amber, 2 green, 2 amber, 2 stowed. Okay, aileron and rudder trims are checked, and stabilizer trim is set for takeoff. Check both channels are engaged. They are. Check trim is set for takeoff and within the CG range. 4.4 is confirmed. Stab trim, channel 1, channel 2, and mock trim are selected. We have a stab trim setting for takeoff with a CG range. Trim data from FMS should be rounded down to the lowest multiple of 0.2 trims. Okay, we're going to cross our first set of runway here. Anti-collision is on. Clear left, clear right. Again, trim data from the FMS should be rounded down to the next lowest multiple of 0.2 trims. So looking left, looking right, still clear. Flight instruments checked and set. Okay, we would do this much differently, but I would do increasing left, decreasing right. Ball is steady, compass is free and turning. Fuel balance checked. The other person would read this off so I don't have to look down there. So we'll call it balanced and sufficient. There we go. So I'm going to leave the anti-collision on because we're going to cross this here right away. So that is everything for the Bombardier taxi check complete. Basically, we're now up to the takeoff point. Okay, clear left, clear right. Normally I wouldn't let the ATS fail flashing thing stay on, but I will here today. Okay, we're still looking good here. Anti-collision's coming off now. A little bit fast. So believe it or not, we can actually taxi up to 24 knots ground speed with the Challenger 605, 650. That is quite a bit of speed. One thing that we sometimes do is drag a thrust reverser, so I'll open up a reverser here. It's going to increase it a little bit too much, but I do that quite a bit to help with the brake wear. Okay, the reverse is shut. Okay, we're coming up on the holding point here. Okay, verified runway, takeoff check, correct runway is confirmed. Okay, runway 09, it is confirmed. And I'm going to stop here before we do anything else. Set the park brake. And slowly apply the brakes here. It's kind of challenging. There we go. Okay, park brake is set. Okay, I'm going to clear this off. I'm going to clear this off. Correct runway is runway 09. It's verified. Ignition continuous on. It is. Okay, we're looking for ignition A and B. You can see that. Okay, wing, cowl, and anti-ice as required. Okay, I'm going to read a bunch of stuff here. So wing and cowl anti-ice. Note: the wing anti-ice system must be selected on for final taxi to take off if the OAT is 5 degrees or 41 degrees Fahrenheit or below, unless type 2, 3, or 4 anti-ice fluids have been applied. Single engine taxi operations are prohibited in these conditions. Left and right wing anti-ice caution messages must be posted, or left heat or right heat lights may go out during taxi, but caution messages must be verified out and wing anti-ice on, anti-ice on advisory messages, and left heat and right heat lights must be verified on prior to takeoff. If wing anti-ice is not required for takeoff, it should be selected off just prior to takeoff. To prevent wing contamination from reverse jet blast, operating the thrust reversers during taxi operations on wet and contaminated surfaces should be avoided. The wing anti-ice system must be selected on and confirmed on for takeoff when the OAT is 5 degrees or below and visible moisture in any form such as clouds, fog, or mist is present below 400 feet AGL, or the runway is wet or contaminated, or in the presence of any precipitation such as rain, snow, sleet, or ice crystals. If the wing anti-ice is selected on for takeoff, the cowl anti-ice must also be selected on. When type 2, 3, or 4 anti-ice fluids have been applied, the wing anti-ice system must be selected and confirmed on just prior to thrust increase for takeoff. The wing anti-ice system may be selected off only if it is positively verified that all of the following conditions are met. The runway to be used is not wet or contaminated, there is no precipitation, and there is no visible moisture in any form such as clouds, fog, mist, rain, snow, sleet, or ice crystals below 400 feet AGL. Refer to Chapter 6, Supplementary Procedures, Cold Weather Operations. Okay, so we are at a temperature of 15 degrees, so we do not require any of these items that I just read. Okay, so we are not using any of those, so I will not be doing any of the testing for them. I'm just going to go with the overhead because I can't do this all at once, so I'm going to go low, low, on, back down here. Continuous ignition, I already have on. Left and right probes are on. Selected to on, caution messages are removed. As you can see, the list is getting shorter here now. Cabin advised, ready for takeoff. Cockpit lighting is required. Check emergency switch lights or checked arm. I can check that. They're in the armed position. External lights is required. Well, I'm just about ready to go here, so I'm going to go pulse, pulse. I normally wouldn't turn this on until we're clear takeoff, but I will now. Anti-collisions coming on, so all the lights are on at this point. CAS, check and clear. Check that the takeoff config advisory message is shown. So it's not going to do it because I got the park brake on. So I'm going to release this and release the park brake. Okay, now we have takeoff config OK. Ignition A and B is on, and the reversers are armed. Those are all the things that we want to see. Check that the takeoff config advisory message is shown and no warning, caution, or status messages are displayed. Check reverser advisory messages are displayed. Okay, weather radar, select on. And I will do that. Radar is coming on. Check radar mode indications. So don't seem to be getting it to come on for some reason. Not sure why. Okay, transponder. This would have already been done, but I'm just going to hit ATC here. You can see it switched to TARA. Maybe that has something to do with the radar. I don't think so. Okay, not sure why. Okay, during the takeoff procedure, ensure that the takeoff thrust is achieved at 80 knots, and above 80 knots, confirm N1 hold is displayed in the MSD. Okay, after takeoff, landing gear up. Check that landing gear is retracted and all symbols indicate up. The one thing I don't think that they did ask us is that confirm flaps 20, so they are 20. The trim is slightly off. I'll just slightly correct that there. There we go. That looks good. Those look good to me. Excellent. Okay, flaps. We are ready for takeoff. So that is the end of chapter 7. That is everything up to and almost including the takeoff. We'll do chapter 8, which is going to be the takeoff. Thanks very much for having a look at chapter 7 with Foxtrot Alpha Aviation. Have a great day.